Welcome to Real Crusades History, the complete history of the Crusades series. Part 2, Christendom's Crucible, Survival, Endurance, Rebirth. Episode 5, Civil War in Al-Andalus, Civil Unrest in the Kingdom of the Asturias, 757 to 771. By 757, Pope Stephen III was dead, replaced by Pope Paul I, who stayed closely allied with the Kingdom of the Franks under Pepin the Short. Meanwhile, in the Byzantine Empire, Constantine V intensified his iconoclasm, purging monasteries of sacred images and banishing or even executing monks and nuns who refused to cease venerating them. In 766, he even banned the title Mother of God for the Blessed Virgin. Pepin the Short called a synod of Frankish bishops near Paris in 767 to discuss, among other issues, the iconoclasm in the East. The synod confirmed wholeheartedly the Church's traditional use of sacred images, and Pope Paul ratified their decision. 757 was also the year that Spain's warrior prince Alfonso I of Asturias died. He was buried in the Church of Covadonga beside Pelayo's daughter Ermesinda. Their son, Fruela I, took the throne. Like his father, he was a fighter, expanding Asturian territory eastward at the expense of the Basques. For a bride, he took a Basque princess, Munia. Meanwhile, Abd-ar-Rahman, the last survivor of the Umayyad dynasty, came to power in Cordoba. His forces skirmished with Fruela's Asturian army at Galicia, but his main concern was the Abbasids, who wanted Spain for themselves. Abd-ar-Rahman had to fight them off, only firmly establishing his control of Al-Andalus by 763. In 767, he did drive Fruela's garrisons out of the Basque province of Álava. Fruela struck back at the Moors in Galicia, defeating them at the Battle of Pontuvillo and capturing Abd-ar-Rahman's son. Despite his successes against the Moors, Fruela began to cultivate bad feelings among his own people. He killed his own brother and began to abuse the church as a means of enriching himself. The fledgling kingdom of Asturias was nearly thrown into turmoil when an assassin fell on Fruela and slew him. One of Alfonso I's nephews, Aurelio, was elected to the throne by Asturias' warrior nobles. Unlike Asturias' previous kings, Aurelio was timid of battle and struck a 6-year peace with Abd-ar-Rahman. However, something about this truce angered some of Aurelio's peasants in his southern lands, for they rose in a revolt that Aurelio was only able to put down with some difficulty. This is the first peasants' revolt recorded in all of Iberian history. Historians aren't certain as to why this revolt took place, but one possibility is that part of Aurelio's terms allowed the Muslims to carry off a certain number of peasant women as tributary payment. The town that now exists in this region, El Entrego, the surrender, may very well have derived its name from this humiliating concession. Meanwhile, Pepin the Short was incorporating Aquitaine into his domains. He died amid these campaigns in 768, but not before dividing his kingdom between his two sons, bequeathing the eastern half to Charlemagne and the western to Charles, the man who would be known to history as Charlemagne. By 771, Charlemagne would be dead, which was convenient for Charles since the brothers were close to war. Nevertheless, historians tend to doubt that Charles had anything to do with Charlemagne's passing, which appears to have been the result of illness. The Assembly of the Franks ratified Charles as sole king, and he began a reign which has truly become legendary. It was during this early period that Charlemagne received a surprising appeal from Suleiman ibn Yagzan, the Muslim governor of Zaragoza, loyal to the Abbasid Caliph. Suleiman begged King Charles to send him aid, for Abd-ar-Rahman had launched an Umayyad army towards Zaragoza, with the intent of subduing it to Cordoban power. We'll explore Charlemagne's response to Suleiman in the next episode of the complete history of the Crusades series.